So in that moment, I said, you know what, God, like this is it for me. I'm just gonna surrender, do whatever you have to do. If you want to take me, just do it quick. And in that moment, a huge wave came and crushed me all the way under the water. When I was under the water, I open my eyes and I see far, far away a black shadow that's coming my way. I was like, oh my God, what is that? Shark. So I covered my eyes and I was waiting for the bite. But instead of the bite, this thing came under me, grabbed me by my stomach, and pushed me all the way up. And when I get up, and I see this thing was a huge dolphin, a huge, great dolphin. So I grabbed the dolphin by the fin, by the tail, and I started crying. Like, I cannot believe that this dolphin saved me, you know what I mean?
Welcome to a Broaderlands podcast. The opinions expressed on Broaderlands podcasts are those of the guest speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of the host or Broaderlands podcast. Carlos, author from Help from Heaven, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I look forward to hearing your beautiful message.
Thank you so much, Hugo Garcia, for inviting me to your podcast, to your program. I'm really glad to be here. Thank you.
Now, thank you. Maybe you could just get us started. Let's get into the good stuff.
My story? Okay. Well, my name is Carlos Vivas. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, here in the United States. And this is my story. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about when I was a little kid so you understand how everything started, you know? So I tell people be careful what you wish for. You have to be careful of your mouth, you know? So this is what happened to me. When I was 14 years old, I was diagnosed with terminal cancer, leukemia. And we went, my mom and my dad took me to like 10 doctors. No doctors could find the cure. No doctors weren't telling my dad and my mom what I got. So the doctors, all the doctors said, well, the only doctor that's going to tell you is in a very expensive clinic. But that's the only one that's going to tell you what your son have, you know? So my mom and my dad, after visit so many doctors, we went to this clinic and this doctor did tests, run tests on my blood samples on my finger, on my arm. Then he did a biopsy of the bone marrow, and then he came out with the final decision that I had leukemia, and it was terminal. Um, and there was nothing else to do because we came too late. So my mom started crying, my dad started crying. I feel horrible behind them when the doctor gave the news, you know. And the doctor looked at me and he said, "Carlos, I'm sorry, but you have 3 months." I said, 3 months for what? 3 months to live. I said, like, what? Me? Like, you're crazy. Like, no, I'm not going to die in 3 months. And in that moment, for the first time in my life, I hear a voice inside of me that he said, he don't have the last word. I have. And I was like, what was that? But I didn't want to say anything to my parents because I don't know. Well, you know, I was raised in the 80s and 90s, you know, like if you say something and my family being Latin, like my mom is going to slap me on my face thinking that I'm joking, you know? And I just keep it quiet and say, well, I'm gonna swallow it up, and then whatever I heard, I'm fine, you know. So the doctor, my mom started fighting with the doctor. Doctor, there have to be something to do, and the doctor, no, there is nothing to do. You guys came too late. So my mom grabbed the doctor by the shirt. I was like, come on, you have to do something for my son. So she was like getting crazy there, crying, and the doctor said, ma'am, okay, sit down. I'm gonna give you two options. So two options so you can do something with your son. So what is the option? Well, number one is we can fly to Houston, Texas, and do a bone marrow transplant, and that's the best we can do. And my mom said, "But are you gonna cure my son with the transplant?" It's like we don't know. It's 50-50 chance if we can save him or not. So okay, and how much is it gonna cost? And the doctor said, "Do you have insurance?" And my mom's like, "No, we don't have insurance right now." Well, it's gonna cost a lot of money, and maybe you're gonna have to sell your cars, your house, and everything you have to pay for this surgery, and maybe he is not gonna survive. So my mom like, "What? No, 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 no. What is the second the second option. So the doctor said the second option is going to France and get a formula that I'm working with another doctors and give that formula to Carlos to see if it works. So my mom used to work at the Air Force. So his boss go to France, come back with the formula. I start taking the formula. 1 month into the treatment, the formula wasn't working. And we go into the doctor office, and the doctor said, "I'm sorry, it's not working, but let's finish the whole treatment to see if something happened." Well, all this was happening. My mom every day was crying. My dad was crying. I feel horrible. And one day I was by myself at home, and I was praying to God, and I said, "You know what, God? Let me ask you something. I'm studying at Catholic school, and they told me there is a God that if you ask from all your heart, He can save you from anything. So I just want to ask you, if you are up there, if you're real, I'm a kid, but I promise you, if you take this cancer away from my life, I'm gonna tell the whole world that you're real because I'm gonna be a living proof that you saved me." After I make that promise, I start praying every day, saying like, "Thank you, God, for my healing." I didn't hear anybody lamenting like, "Oh, poor Carlos," nothing. I was like, "I'm gonna be saved. I'm gonna be saved by God, and everything's gonna be fine. All my cells, all my blood is getting clean." Guess what? 3 months later, the doctor called us and said, "Okay, the treatment is over. You need to come to the clinic to do the last test. Is a CT scan. They put you in a tunnel. They take X-rays and everything." And after they put me there, they took me out of the CT scan, and the doctors checked the results. The cancer disappeared. Everything was gone. In that moment, my mom was like, "Oh my God, this is a miracle. God, oh my God, thank you." And the doctor have a bulldog's face. I was like, "No, lady, this is not a miracle. This is called remission. Remission is when the cancer disappear and then come back later. It's when your son was treated with a lot of chemicals, and then that's why it raised the cancer, and then it come back more aggressive." In that moment, I heard that will never happen again. And from that moment till today, I never had that again. But that was my first encounter with God. And remember, I did a promise that I'm going to tell the whole world that He was real. And I never did because I was a kid. And who I'm going to be telling who. And that's when my second story come. In 2015, I went to Florida with some friends. We were 7 friends with a family. We traveled to Panama City Beach, and when we arrived to the beach, it was packed with people. We went to another beach, it was packed. We go to a third one, it was packed. And I tell everybody, you know what? Let's go to an island. It's called a national park. It's called San Andreas State Park. So from there, we can get a boat that's going to take us to an island in the middle of the ocean. And I don't believe people wants to pay $20 per family member to go there. So I don't think it's going to be full. So we go to this national park, San Andreas State Park. We pay to go to this island. The day was beautiful. It was a sunny day, blue skies. When we arrived, the boat was like 20 people, 20, 30 people. We get out of the boat, but the bay side of the island was packed too because it was a holiday. So my friend Carlos, look, it's full. I said, you know what? Let's go to the back side of the island. It's open ocean. So I don't think nobody's going to be there. Let's walk there. So I start walking there, and there is a guy with 5 kids, and the guy says, "Excuse me, sir, where do you think you're going?" So I'm going to the other side. I said, "Well, that side is dangerous. You should stay here with us in this side of the island." I said, "Sir, look, it's packed right now. We want to hear the tranquility of the water, the wind. We want the peace of the ocean. That's why we're going to the other side." I said, "Well, it's dangerous, so be careful." I said, "Don't worry. I've been coming here for years. Nothing happened." So I still walking with my friends, and we get to the back side of the island. This island is like a circle. So we went to the back, and when we arrived there, there was nobody. I have a tent, a big like canopy, and I start opening the canopy with my friends, and the wind start blowing really hard, and the canopy opened like a parachute. And for 45 minutes, we're fighting to put the canopy down. until one of my friends said, Carlos, let's get some rocks and put it on every corner. So that's what we did. When we finished that, we opened the chairs, we bring the food, drinks, put some music, and we stay there from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. Around 4 p.m., my friend said, Carlos, we want to walk around the island. Do you want to come with us? I said, like, no, no, no. I'm taking care of everything here. You guys can go. So they left. I was by myself. And I was just contemplating the water, and then it started getting very hot. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm just going to swim a little bit. I'm not afraid to swim because when I was a child, I used to swim on a swimming team. I used to compete. And I said, I'm just going to jump and swim a little bit. I jump into the water. I start swimming. And out of the blue, under the water, an undertow, other people call it riptide, come under the water and grab me and start pulling me to the ocean. The way that I explain this to people, if you saw the movie Finding Nemo, there is a current under the water that take all the fishes and throw it far, far away. So that was the same thing that grabbed me. It was like a tunnel under the water and sucked me far, far away. When I get out of this tunnel of water, I looked back to the island and the island was like this, small. I was like, what? I was like half a mile away. It's like, how in the world I get here? I just need to swim back. So I don't want to panic. So I start swimming, swimming, swimming. But every time that I was swimming, 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 every time that I was pulling my head out of the water, I was even farther and farther and farther. I was like, what's going on? I didn't know what a riptide was. I didn't know. I never heard it in my life. So I didn't know I was in the center of the riptide. So it doesn't matter how much I was swimming. I was like a fly on a toilet. Toilet was going on, and the fly was like trying to fight that. At the end, um, it was like almost 30 minutes that I was fighting and fighting and fighting, and I was losing my energy on my whole body. And I knew at that moment, I said, you know what, this is it. It's almost 5 p.m. The last boat is gonna leave the island at 5:30 until tomorrow. So nobody's gonna see me. I'm gonna die here. And I said, okay, before I die, I just wanna talk to God. So I looked heaven that moment. I said, okay, God, I never thought in a million years that today is gonna be my last day. But if you wanna take me, I'm ready. Before you take me, I just wanna say thank you. I wanna say thank you for my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sisters. Thank you for everything you gave me. And I'm sorry if I did something wrong. In that moment behind me, I heard a voice that said, ask for help. And I look everyone's like, what? What was that? So I heard the water and the wind. And then I tried to swim again, and then I heard the voice again, ask for help. And I was like, oh my God, where you at? Don't you see that I'm drowning here? Could you help me, please? Nothing. Still listening the water and the wind. And I was like, this is my imagination. So I tried to swim again. And then I heard for the third time, I told you to ask for help. And I was like, oh my God, don't you see that it's impossible to go? But okay, I'm going to do it, okay? So even that I couldn't see who was talking to me, I was like, okay, I'm going to try. So I started yelling, help, help, help. There was one of my friends, his name is George. I said, George, help. So I started screaming and screaming. Guess what? One of my friends that was going around the island, his name is Enrique. He said to the group, I feel something is wrong. Let me go back with Carlos. So he go back to the tent. He didn't saw me there. He went to the beach. He didn't saw me at the beach. So he started looking everywhere until he went to the top of a hill. He went to the hill full of rocks, and on the top he saw me far away. So he started jumping, Carlos, Carlos, I'm gonna call 911. Hold on, hold on. And then he run back to the tent, and he didn't call 911. He grabbed some tubings, go to the top again, and drop the tubings from the top of the rocks. Guess what? I was like half a mile away, and the wind was against him, so the float was coming back to his face. He was very nervous because 2 years prior to this, he was swimming with some friends on a national park here in Atlanta. It's called Lake Lanier Islands, and one of his friends drowned. He was in happening something like what is happening to me, and he just go froze. He didn't know what to do, and his friend died. So when this was happening to me, it's like this is happening again. This time I have to do something. That's what Enrique was saying. So when the flow didn't work, he's like, okay, Carlos, hold on, hold on. Let me call more people. So he went back to the other side of the island. When the people was boarding the boats going back to Panama City, he started calling, "Hey, everybody, come on! Somebody's drowning! Come on, help me!" So everybody run to the other side of the island, go to the top of the rocks. Six guys jump from the rocks, and everybody starts swimming my way. And I was like, "Oh my God, thank you, God! They're gonna save me! They're gonna save me!" Guess what? Almost 10 minutes later, nobody could reach me because the riptide is still taking me back into the ocean. And then everybody starts turning around. It's like, what are they doing? Where are they going? And then I heard a thunder behind me, boom, a thunderstorm. And when I look back, a lightning on the water. It's like, oh my God, thunderstorm. So the sky starts turning dark. Everything is like a thunderstorm is coming. And who's going to risk their life from somebody that they don't know? They could die too, you know? And there is a bunch of stories when people jump into the water to rescue somebody else and then they both died, you know? I don't know if you know, this year uh, the beach of Panama City Beach was named one of the most dangerous uh, destinies in America for the riptides. Anyways, I started seeing that everybody's turning around, and in that moment, I said, "You know what, God? If nobody's gonna save me, I'm not gonna fight anymore. I'm just gonna surrender." And in this moment, I tell people, how many times in your life you are fighting, not with the water or with the current or with the riptide, you're fighting with your family, you're fighting with your friends, with your job, with cancer, with depression. I mean, so many things, you know. And the only thing when you're fighting and you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel is just surrender and let God take over, you know, over your life and trust that everything's going to be fine. So in that moment, I said, you know what, God, like this is it for me. I'm just going to surrender, do whatever you have to do. If you want to take me, just do it quick. And in that moment, a huge wave came and crushed me all the way under the water. When I was under the water, I open my eyes and I see far, far away a black shadow that's coming my way. I was like, oh my God, what is that? Shark. So I covered my eyes and I was waiting for the bite. But instead of the bite, this thing came under me, grabbed me by my stomach, and pushed me all the way up. And when I get up, and I see this thing was a huge dolphin, a huge great dolphin. So I grabbed the dolphin by the fin, by the tail, and I started crying. Like I cannot believe that this dolphin saved me. You know, I mean, I don't know anything about dolphins. I never touched a dolphin in my life. So I was hanging on him. He didn't move. He was just there for me. So I started just crying. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. You know. 10 minutes later, a feature boat showed up in front of me. All this time, the dolphin didn't move. He was just there floating for me. So when the rescue came, it was a feature boat. The guy was like 20 feet from me, and he said, "Son, I can save you, but I cannot go where you are because the wave from the thunderstorm, they are big, and I'm gonna hit you with my boat. I'm gonna throw you a rope." So he threw me a rope. I grabbed the rope and I went to the boat. And when I was on the boat at the bottom, I just grabbed some air, like, oh. And the guy's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You need to get in now." I said, like, "Sorry, let me get some air, please. I've been here for like 30, 40 minutes." I said, like, "No, no, you don't understand. My boat is sinking." I said, "Your boat is sinking? What are you talking about?" I said, "Yeah, my boat is, I have a pump and the pump is stopped and all the water from the thunderstorm is getting inside and it's getting floated. So hurry up, go to the back and there are some steps on the water." So I go around the boat. The dolphin is still next to me. I jump from the water to the boat. I get inside of the boat and I see the water is like this. And I was like, "Oh my God, sir, do you have any bucket? I help you to take the water out." I said, "No, I don't have any bucket and we don't have time for this. Sit down next to me." So I sit down next to me and he started driving around the island. And then he asked me, "Let me ask you a question. Are you okay?" "Yes, sir, I'm fine." "What happened to you?" I said, like, "I don't know. It was like a whirlpool under the water that brought me all the way here." "Oh, that's called a riptide." I said, "I don't know. I never heard that before. But I said, "Okay, where's your family and friends?" Everybody's there waiting for me. "Okay, let me ask you a question. Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Atlanta, Georgia." "What about you, sir?" I said, "I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, too." "What part?" I said, "I'm from Duluth." And he said, "I'm from Norcross." Duluth and Norcross in front of each other. I was like, "Wow, we're neighbors, too." And in that moment, he's like, "Oh my God, look behind you, look behind you." And when I look behind me, the dolphin started jumping behind the boat and start following us all the way around the island. So he's like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" So he was super excited. When we arrived to the bayside, he said, "Okay, son, I have to leave you right here. You can jump off the boat and walk, but from here you're gonna be fine. I have to go and fix my boat. But if you wanna see me again, every Memorial Day I'm gonna be here with my family, so you will see my boat." And I gave her a hug. I said, "Thank you so much. God bless you. So thank you for saving my life." I jump off the boat and I start walking to the shore. Nobody was on that side of the shore because everybody was in the other side trying to rescue me. So when I was walking to the shore, I felt something that hit my leg. And when I looked back, the dolphin was behind me. At this point, I started crying. I was like, "Oh my God, this dolphin! What's going on?" And when I walk and I get to the shore, I go on my knees and I make a promise. I said, "You know what, God? If you save me with this dolphin right here, it's because you have a purpose for my life. I don't know why did you save me for, but I'm gonna tell you something. From today, Carlos died into the ocean. The person that's coming out of the water is gonna be you. From today, I give you my life. I give you my soul. From today, it's not my life. It's your life. You want Carlos? Well, bring it on. This is you for you." And in that moment, it started raining, started thundering and lightning. So I took that as a yes. The dolphin left that moment, and then from the other side of the island, the police arrived, and all my friends arrived. Everybody started hugging me. Everybody started crying. The management take me back to the island. They interviewed me like what happened, and I told them like, "Look, you have to be more careful on that island because you need to put like a red flag telling people that the ocean is dangerous. Like signs that what is a riptide. You didn't have signs there, and you didn't have any lifeguards there. So just be careful for next time. So after that, my friends asked me like, "What do you want to do now, Carlos?" I said like, "Look, what just happened was a miracle. That you want to go to a church and give thanks to God." So all my friends and people that was on the beach said, "Oh, can we go with you?" I said, "Yeah, sure, just follow us." So we went to a church close by, and we tried to get inside of the church. It was a Catholic church. I tell the Catholic church was named Fatima because it was a big statue of Fatima outside. It was like a cave. Outside of the church was like a chapel, so it was like a cave. Inside of the cave was Virgin Fatima, and it was full of candles. So we did a circle in and out of that because the church was closed. So we went to the garden on the chapel, and everybody hugged each other, and we prayed there for 20 minutes. After we pray, my friend asked me like, "Carlos, what do you want to do now?" I said like, "You know what? Take me back to the hotel. I just wanna get something to eat and go to sleep." So I say thank you to everybody that came. We go back to the hotel. I took a shower, get something to eat, and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna go to sleep." As soon as I put my head on the pillow, this is what happened. I have a epiphany. I never had an epiphany. It was like a vision. I didn't know what was happening in that moment, but I opened my eyes and I was on the third floor of a cruise, Caribbean cruise. So from the top of this cruise, I was hand grabbing the handrails. Looking in front of me was the blue ocean, blue skies, no clouds, and it was sunny. So I'm looking at everything and it's beautiful. And then at the end of the ocean, I see a tsunami that's rising coming my way. And in that moment, I say, "Oh my God, I'm going to die. The tsunami is coming." So I cover my face and wait 5, 10, 15 minutes, nothing happened. And then somebody come behind me. It's like, "Carlos, look at me." I said, like, "No, no, no, we're about to die. Look, a tsunami is coming. A tsunami is coming." I said, like, "Carlos, you're never going to die with me. Look at me." I said, like, "Who are you? Look at me." So I take my hands out of my face. When I look back, I see this guy is bigger than me. He had a white robe. Light is coming from his face. And he said, "Close your eyes, please." So I closed my eyes. He hugged me from behind. And then 10 seconds later, he said, "Open your eyes, please." I opened my eyes. He opened his arms. So I look in front of you. So when I look in front of me, I couldn't believe it. I was in heaven. And I was speechless. I was like, "What? I'm in heaven? That means that I died?" And I look back and say, "And you, Jesus?" Like, "Okay, Jesus, no, I have to go back because I have a lot to do. I mean, you cannot take me right now, okay? Can we do something?" So he laughs. He's like, "Carlos, no, you're not dead. You're in the middle. And you make a promise to me. And you need to fulfill your promise. From this moment, I just want to let you know, welcome to heaven. from today, you're part of me and part of all of them. So I said, all of them. When he said all of them, when I look in front of me, millions of people show up in white robes, and everybody was glowing. And he said, from this moment, you start walking with me and walking with them. Do you have any questions? I said, yes, I have a question. Yeah, tell me. I said, like, well, where all these people come from? I said, they're coming from all over the world. Okay, do you have another question? I said, yes. Um, there are like 50,000 religions around the world. What is the true religion? I just always wondering that question. And he said, well, I'm going to tell you, when you come to heaven, there is no religions in heaven. When you come to heaven, the only thing you're going to find here is the love of God. The love of God is universal and will never end. The love of God is the most powerful force in the universe, and it's going to unite the whole humanity in one. And in that moment, he said, okay, have any other questions? And I know. So let's start walking. He hugged me and he started doing my life review. My life review, he grabbed his hands, do like this, and a lot of screens like a Macintosh computer open up. And I can see my life since I was a kid until right now. And I was looking every decision that I took that affected another people, like how my decisions were affecting people. And every time that I did something wrong with somebody or I said a bad word, how I affect that person. So I was putting on his side and I feel the pain and I feel what that person was feeling when I said or did something to them. And we all do. But Jesus wasn't judging me. I was judging myself in that moment. It's like, oh my God, I did that and I never thought that that person took it that bad. So he showed me that for me to know every word that comes from your mouth, how can take life and affect another people. So just from that moment to be careful what you say. After that happened, Jesus pushed my back and said, okay, Carlos, I want you to go back and tell everybody what just happened here. So he pushed me back. Next morning I wake up and I was like, oh my God, what was that? It was a dream? What happened? Anyways, I thought it was a dream, and I tell my friends before we travel to Atlanta what happened, and then we travel to Atlanta. Next morning, I'm going to work. I've been working almost 20 years in my office. I have three managers there, and I say, like, "Hey guys, guess what happened on this weekend? I went to the beach, and this happened, and a dolphin saved me." And everybody like, "Yeah, right, a dolphin saved you." And in that moment, somebody behind me said, "I believe you." And I looked back, it was my boss, and said, how do you believe me? And they don't believe me. And my boss said, because all of them, they're atheists. I'm a Christian. Number two, I want you to Google in your computer how many people has been saved by dolphins through history, human history. So I Googled it. A lot of people has been saved by dolphins. I didn't know that. And then he said, now Google how many people die in the United States every year by riptides. When I Google more than 100 people die every year, it's called the silent killer. Then he said, now Google, and the dolphins say people, but if you Google how many dolphins get killed every year, Google it. So when I Google 100,000, and they still saving people. And then he said, now Google, what is the meaning of the dolphin for Christians? And when I Googled that, he said the dolphin represents Jesus. The dolphin is the dolphin represent like the second coming of Jesus. I was like, what? Like I never thought that. Anyways, that happened that right there on Monday. On Wednesday, my boss sent me to a customer house because I was doing quality assurance, going to customers and seeing any problem they have. One of my employees in a customer house broken lamp in a basement. So I go to this customer. The customer was cooking, and he said, "Carlos, you do me a favor. I'm cooking right now. I'm busy. Could you go to the basement? Go to the end of the basement, turn the lights, and you will see a gold lamp on a corner. That's what I need. If you can repair it or buy me a new one." So sure. So I go by myself to the basement, go all the way to the end. When I turn the light, I see the gold lamp in the corner, but next to the lamp was a huge painting on the wall. And guess what it was? It was exactly the same scene that I saw my epiphany on heaven. So it was heaven, millions of people in the background, Jesus in the middle, but Jesus was like touching like the water in the ocean, and dolphins were around Jesus. So at this moment, this was very overwhelming for me. So I start crying like, "Oh my God, what is this?" So that wasn't a dream. This is real. Like he's showing me this is real. So in that moment, the customer come down. Carlos, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. And I asked the lady, where did you get this painting? I said, well, 3 years ago, a friend of my family came here with a big canvas and did this painting for us. We didn't have any other space in the house. That's why we put it right here. But let me turn the light so you can admire the whole painting. So that's what I did. After that encounter with that painting in that customer house, that happened on Wednesday. On Thursday, I called one of my best friends. I told the story. And he said, Carlos, you need to come to church on Sunday by my house and tell this story to people. It's like, are you crazy? You want me? You want me to tell this story to people? Like nobody's gonna believe me. And like people, you know how many haters are out there, and how many fanatics are gonna like this story? Like no, 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 no. I don't want to tell this story to nobody. I said like Carlos, please. So it was 1 hour for me begging me for me to tell this story. I said okay, okay, okay. And Sunday I go to your house. Sunday I arrive. I live an hour away from him. I drove an hour to his house. Then we get breakfast, and after that, I say, "Okay, what church you want to go?" I said, "Like, it doesn't matter because Jesus told me that it's no religions in heaven. So any denomination from here, from your house, whatever is closer." So I said, "Okay, let's start driving and let's see what we got." So when we started driving, the first church that we saw was called San Michael the Archangel. When we arrived to the parking lot was full of cars, more than 100 cars there. People were celebrating. There were music. It was something going on, but we didn't know what's happening. I asked a lady next to us where we parked. I said, like, what's going on today? There is all these people. And she said, well, what happened is this used to be a little church, but today we're inaugurating a cathedral, like a big church. And you guys are coming in the middle of the inauguration. I said, okay, cool. So we saw how they opened the new church. And after that, my friend said, okay, we need to tell the priest if you can tell the story. So I went to the priest, and the priest said, yeah, at the end of the service, you can go to the stage and tell the story. So at the end of the service, finally, I grabbed my microphone. For the first time in my life, I'm going to tell the testimony, go to the stage. I start telling my story. And when I'm in the middle of the story, a 17 years old girl from Mexico raised her hands. Excuse me. I said, yes. I want to ask you a question. So sure. How Jesus was with you? I said, he was behind me. Um, how he was dressing? He was dressing a white robe. Um, what what you what you were doing when you were with him? I said like, well, Jesus was behind me. I was in front of Jesus. I said, okay, and he was hugging me from behind. Why? And she said, I have to show you something. I said, what are you talking about? And she had black long hair. She was a very skinny, tall girl, and she put the her hair in front of her, and she said, look what I have in my church. So she turned around, and I have a copy around here. Let me see if I can find it here. Hold on. I got it right here. So she have a print on her back. It was this painting right here. So when I see this painting, I was like, oh my God. So yeah, it was like that. So everybody at church like, oh my God, you guys planned this, you guys did this. I was like, excuse me, but I don't live in this area. I live an hour away from here. I never came to this church. I don't know that girl. I guess this is a coincidence. Anyways, the service end. I finished my story. I get in my car, leave my friend in his house. I drive to my house. And when I get to my house, I go on the computer and I Google Jesus hugging a guy. And it comes a story from this painting. And what's the story from this painting? It's a real story. In 1992, famous painting, his name is Thomas Blackchair. He started doing fasting for 2 weeks, asking God, let me paint the image of Jesus. And every time that somebody feels that they are alone, that nobody have their back, they're having cancer or alcohol or they are trying to commit suicide or anything, they know that you are behind them. You're never gonna leave them. So he started painting doing the painting, and then he said half of the painting. He said they hear the voice of the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit said, Thomas, it's a beautiful story, but you need to write a book about it. I said, a book about what? Well, you need to show people what is the darkness that is behind. That's the darkness that we all humans have. Then we have the love that Jesus had for us, the illumination that we all have. Everything that is on the picture, you have to explain. So, okay. So he wrote a book. His book is called Forgiven by Thomas Blackshire. And this is how my story ends. So when I was in heaven and Jesus pushed me back, he said, Carlos, before you go, you need to tell these people, everybody on earth, this message. And the message is people need to forgive. I said, why they need to forgive? He said, like, more than 98% of people around the world have childhood trauma. And they need to forgive three people. Number one, their parents. It doesn't matter if they abandoned you, if they abuse you, if they hit you, they didn't like you, they didn't have a manual to raise you. They did the best they could to give you the best you have. Number two, you need to forgive your inner child. Why? Because whatever happened in your childhood is not your fault. You was afraid, you was scared, nobody could help you. So this is the moment that you grab that child and say, you're protected from this moment. And number three, you need to forgive all the people that came to your life to harm you. Why? When you forgive your parents, your inner child, and the people that came to your life to harm you, you're not forgiving them, you're forgiving yourself. In that moment, you open your heart and you throw away all the hate, all the resentment, and all the poisons that have been eating you for years, been killing you. And that poison and that hate and that resentment later become cancer and another sicknesses. That's why it's very important for you to forgive. I know it's not easy, but when we were kids, it wasn't it wasn't on us, what happened to us. But as an adult, it's our responsibility to heal ourselves for what happened in our childhood. We cannot carry this back all our life behind us. We have to let it go. We need to be free. So when we forgive, it's like we have a balloon with a string and cut the string and let the balloon go. You're free. In that moment, you open your heart and you bring your treasure chest and the gift that God gave you. And what's the gift that God gave you? It's called purpose. And what is your purpose? Very simple. It's the thing that you love to do and nobody else do like you do. Some people cook amazing, some people dance amazing, some people they're amazing athletes. You know what you do better than anybody else. That's your purpose. You have a gift and you have to give your gift away. If you don't like that, the second purpose is called service. Why service? Because when we die, we're not taking our house, we're not taking our titles or money or Bitcoin, nothing. The only thing that we're going to take with us is how many people we love, how many people we help, how many people we give shelter and food. What was the blueprint that you left on this world for others to follow? Like Mother Teresa of Calcutta, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Princess Diana, Martin Luther King. What they did was service, and their service continues until today. Now, I ask you, all the people that's listening, what are you doing today to leave a legacy, a blueprint on this earth of your actions? So one day, when it's your turn to go to heaven, and they ask you there, it was worthy for you to go to where? I said, sure, let me show you. So you're proud of what you left behind for others to follow your teachings, your what you did here on earth. And that, everybody, is my story. I hope you like it.
Thanks. Yeah, it's great. I was thinking about your first ominous warning. When that guy's telling you don't go there, it's not safe. Um,
Well, I have more than one. I have the thing is, this story is supposed to be more than an hour, and right now
yeah,
it's like 38 minutes. But I cut a lot of the stuff because
I bet.
it's too much. But I have like 15 warnings, and I used to be a kind of person that I didn't believe in warnings. I wasn't superstitious or anything like that. But right now, after I have that experience, at the first thing, we have that little voice the conscious voice that said, "Don't go to the party, don't go to that trip, be careful." And you don't listen, and then you go and something happens, and you say, "Oh my God, if I listen my voice, he said, then don't go because try to protect you, you know." And that was, I tell people, if you listen, it's because it's trying to prevent something worse, you know. I don't know if it happened to you before.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Have you ever read Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God?
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
I
he
have the
talks a
movie.
lot
I have
about
the movie.
talks a lot. Yeah, I have a lot of great stories with that. When I had my awakening, with I was in Target in the DVD section. That's how back in 2009. But
Uh-huh.
everything got dark and something was shining, and it was the DVD of Conversations with God.
What?
Yeah, it's how it looked in me. I don't know if that really happened, but it's how it felt. Like everything, like it was looking at me, talking to me to pick it
Wow.
up, and it seemed like everything got like dim, and then that stood out. That happened to me twice. That was the first time, and I grabbed it and I watched it, and it was in it, and I got his books, and it just spoke to me. Yeah, the Conversations with God, Neil Donald Walsh. So that's what.
Conversation with God was one of my first books that I read on the movie because after this happened to me, I start looking for answers. You know, it's like, why this is happening to me? You know, and I start going to churches, asking to priests, like, look, this accident happened to me, and then I start having these visions, and I went to 4 churches. Nobody wants to respond to me, and then I said, this is something going on here. This smells funny right here. Let me Google this to see if there's something behind because there is something behind because they don't want to answer me, like, you know. And when I Google, I find out that here in the United States, 1 in every 10 American have a near-death experience. Do you know that?
Wow.
Mostly when they're going to surgery and they put anesthesia. That's how they have their first out-of-body experience or near-death experience, you know. And then I saw, like, oh my God, this happened to a lot of people. It doesn't happen just to me, you know. But it was amazing to start looking for answers, looking for movies, looking for books, and that's how I found Near Worlds. That's how I found Edgar Tolle. I found a lot of spiritual teachers. You know,
Yeah.
one of the first one that I found was Louis Hay from Hay House,
Mhm.
and oh my God, so many teachers that I learned so much from this, and I didn't feel isolated. You know. And then I start looking online to hear stories, and it's like, oh my God, this happened to more people. So I feel good, you know. It was a what happened to me was like a call out, and I guess this is not happened to me. It happened to you too. It happened to a lot of people, but you have to be open to accept this, you know, in your life, you know, when you get
Yeah,
called to awaken your soul.
yeah. I usually tell people with a near-death experience, NDEers, it reminds me of that Saint Francis prayer at the very end. It is only by dying that one awakens to eternal life. And I don't know what happened, but something shifted in me. I mean, I had a near-death experience. I had a near-death like experience in their definition, but the night before, I got shot at. Someone got shot and it wasn't me. You know what I mean?
Wow,
I've had a number of near-death experiences being a gangbanger in the 90s. I've been shot at a number of times where people got shot and their heads blown off right in front of me.
wow,
But that changed me that day, November 14th, 2009. Actually, November 13th, 2009.
wow,
November 14th, 2009, I woke up into a different state of consciousness. Um,
wow.
but uh, but yeah, those type of experiences started to happen to me. That's why I love your story. But I wonder, because I've talked to a number of NDEers,
Hmm.
and Dave Such. You familiar with Dave Such? Um,
No, not too much. I'm
he's
I'm 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 not good with names. Maybe you show me the face. I'm really with faces, not with names. I
yeah,
don't know
well
if you're
he
the same.
well yeah he interviewed over 1,500 people that had NDE experiences and
Okay.
NDEers, and but he says when they go to the other side, it's personalized to their
Hmm.
conditioning. So,
Yes.
do you feel that was personalized for you, like Jesus, to your? Because other people in different parts of the world, I remember one time being in a Unity church and they were talking about an NDE experience, someone from the West, and Jesus
Hmm.
came to them. And then I asked the question, the lady, the Reverend, and I asked, well, what happens to the other people in like in India or people that have these NDE experiences, but Krishna or Shiva or other types of deities come to them. So I wonder if there's like some kind of conditioning have to play a part of it, especially with the dolphin, because even in the dolphin, you mentioned it, the early Christians, uh, you know, um, created the symbol to Christ, dedicated that symbol to Christ. But the
Mhm.
pagans already had that before the Christians, that had these stories already as saviors. And he was the savior of the sea, a benefactor to mankind, because it was known to. I don't know anybody who got saved by a dolphin, but it's obviously been known over down the years. You're the
Oh
first
yeah.
person I've ever heard. So I think it's profound. Um, but it's been known to mankind of that happening, but they give Jesus the credit. So I'm wondering if there's any type of religious background or conditioning that has to do with part of your experience. Maybe the divine God is maybe trying to speak and use Jesus as an instrument, or the Buddha, or other types of uh, deities that have affected other parts of the world where people listen.
Well, I just want to let you know my experience, Carlos' experience. I be having a lot of experience, spiritual experience since I was a kid,
Yeah.
but I didn't pay attention. Okay, I thought this was normal. I thought this happened to everybody, until I started asking questions to people. This happened to you? It's like, what? Like I never heard that before. That just happened to you. And everybody was telling me, no, Carlos, that don't happen to regular people. That just happened to you. I was like, why is this happening to me? And I have experiences with Jesus. I don't think that was just the energy of God trying to manifest on Jesus to show me through my life. The image that I see on my other experiences has been Jesus. Um, in 2017, I took my dad to Vegas, and because I want to give that gift as a birthday gift, so we took it to Vegas, me and my sister, and we took it to Sedona. I rent a car. I'm from Vegas. I was driving every day to Grand Canyon, Sedona, Arizona, and everywhere. And the last day, I was staying in a hotel. It's called Treasure Island, and we were like on the top floor, and you could see the whole Vegas from there. And the last day, after 7 days, I tell my dad, Dad, I just want to wake up early because I want to take pictures of the sunrise, with the buildings. It looks so beautiful. And my dad, okay, well, hurry up because at 9 a.m. we need to leave the hotel. We need to go and give the rent a car and then go to the airport. I was flying to Atlanta. My dad was flying to Miami. My sister was flying to Houston. So we have to grab the three flights on time. So yeah, yeah, sure. So on Sunday, I wake up at 5 a.m., took a shower, I make some coffee, make a coffee for my dad, coffee for me. I put the news to my dad, say, okay, I'll be back in 1 hour. I grab in one hand my coffee, in the other hand my phone, and I go almost 40 floors down to the lobby of the hotel. When I get there, like I said, Sunday 6 a.m., I was like two people there in the lobby, two, three people. Say good morning to everyone. I start drinking my coffee, start walking on the street, and then I realized something that I didn't see during the day. What was it? During the day, Las Vegas is full of people and walking like rivers, but Sunday, 6 a.m., it was homeless everywhere. And at that point, I was like, oh my God, God, how do you leave these people here dying in front of these hotels? These hotels, they're super expensive for millionaire people, like how these people is dying at the front door of these hotels? How there is so much poverty in front of so much majestic things? Like, how do you allow to do that? How do you let these people die in here? This was in my mind, okay? I wasn't talking. This was here. So I started walking on the streets and I started taking pictures and all that. And I didn't bring my wallet or nothing, just my phone and my coffee. And after 45 minutes, my phone rings. And I grab my phone and my dad, Carlos, come on. Where are you at? I said, Dad, I'm still taking pictures. No, hurry up, go back because we need to pack. I said, okay, let me go back. So I hang on by that. I cross the street to the next street to turn around. And when I'm crossing the street, behind me, I heard some steps. Somebody with the wooden shoes. The wooden shoes are noisy. So I heard somebody walking behind me, and I started walking fast, and this person started walking fast. I was like, "Is it my imagination, or somebody's following me?" I just gonna, I just gonna run. So I start running on the street, going back to the hotel, And this person started running behind me. I was like, oh my God, they're following me. They're going to rob my phone. So I'm running and I'm thinking in my mind, so I'm going to, if I see a restaurant, a casino, a hotel with the doors open, I'm just going to jump in and Starbucks or something. And I'm going to yell, hey, this guy's trying to rob me, Everything was closed. I was like, this is crazy. So I get to the end of the street. And if you're being in Vegas, at the end of the street, they have like some something blocking the street, so you cannot cross the street. You have to go to a bridge and go to the other side. So when I get to the end of the street, I see the escalators and I don't have nowhere to go. So I jump in the escalators, go up, and this guy jumped behind me. I didn't want to look back. So when I get to the top of the bridge was crossing to the Caesar Palace. So I start running and I see homeless on the whole bridge. And I was like, God, please help these people. When I'm in the middle of the bridge, the guy behind me started yelling at me. He stopped and said, stop right there. Raise your hands up. Raise your hands up. I was like, oh God, me. And I was like, sir, what do you want? It's 6 a.m. on Sunday. Like, really? I don't have any money. I just have my phone. And like, what do you want? And this guy said, let me tell you something. He started yelling. And all the homeless are looking at me and looking at him. I cannot help these people on the streets. And I was like, excuse me, sir, I don't understand what you're talking about. Like, what? He said, you asked me why I don't help these people on the street. I cannot help these people on the street because that's what you're here for. You're going to be my hands and you're going to be my eyes and you're going to help these people. At this moment, I almost peed my pants, okay? I was like, what is going on here? So I just going, like, I'm trying to look around to see this guy. And when I turn around, this guy was an executive guy with a briefcase. He have like he was dressed in executive like green, olive green suit, white shirt, black tie. He was a white guy with a red hair, blue eyes, and he was like channeling something, Jesus or something. And he said, he looked at me and he's giving some money. He's on his knees giving some money to a homeless. And he looked at me and said, like, I'm gonna be watching you and you better do a good job. Okay? And in this moment I was like, what is going on? I just look at him, I was like, oh my god. And I just turn around and start running back to the hotel. And I get to my room and I get back to my dad. I say, okay, dad, I'm ready to go get out of here. I don't know what God is doing this to me. I don't understand. I'm not like a Christian fanatic or nothing. Like I'm not living in church or reading the Bible all day. I don't know why this stuff is happening to me. But after I fight for 5 years, this because I didn't want to do it. I have enough with my life to get on
Yeah.
this. Um, I think that was one of the last things that happened to me. I was sleeping in my house. There was nobody at home, and I heard a thunder, boom, and the whole house. You have like electric shock and blue. And I heard a voice that said, I want the name of your book to be Help from Heaven. I was like, oh my God, like really? So I jump on my bed like a cat and I turn the lights on, like, who is there? Who's there? So I turn the lights in the whole house. I don't see anything. And I said, like, Help from Heaven? What are you talking about? And I go to Google and I Google Help from Heaven. And if you Google in your computer, guess what's going to show up? Google it if you want. A video is going to show up there. And the video is called Help from Heaven by Matt Riemann. I didn't know what was this. So I played the video. And guess what? On this video is a music video. Matt Riemann, that he's a very, very famous Billboard Award, a Christian singer, he started telling the story that is narrating what's happening to me. Why I drowned in the middle of the ocean, why God chose to do this to me, what is the end result of what is happening to me. I start crying like a baby. It's like, what? This son is telling me everything that's going on with me. Like I couldn't believe it. And after that happened, I said, okay, God, if you want me to write a book, I don't know how to write a book. Just put it in front of me. If you do that, I'll do it. And guess what? Months later, I was invited to a reunion. It was a men's group, And one of the guys that was there, raised their hands like, "I want to ask you a question. Who wants to write a book in this group?" And the guy who invited me grabbed my hand like, "This guy right here." And he was with University of Georgetown University in Washington D.C. And I get into the program. It was 1 year, and I wrote the book, Help from
That's
Heavens.
awesome.
Well, this is the Spanish version, but it's about the same. The hand of God. I went driving, but it
Horrible.
really changed my life, you know. And finally, I decided to hear. Finally, I knew that I couldn't escape. I have to do it, you know. And he's still manifesting in a lot of stuff in my life. It's been a
It's,
beautiful ride, you know. Like I never thought that my life is gonna change like that. So I don't know if it's a deity or not, but I believe it's Jesus, you know, because that's what I've been having encounters since I was 6 years old, you know.
yeah. Yeah, what I find amazing in NDE stories is no matter if people believe them or not, they come back transformed.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
definitely.
hear that in you. And it's by their fruits ye shall know, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And another thing, when you come from a near-death experience, you are not afraid to die. I mean, you can ask this question to anybody that come back, and you are full of love, and you wanna appreciate your family, your friends, every moment. Most of the material things they don't wanna care anymore because you know you came here for a reason. You know you came here for a purpose. You know you came here to give your purpose and you give your love and you give that love that you have inside of your heart to others, you know? And you don't want to waste your time in little things.
yeah, you're speaking my reality today, and I appreciate that.
Oh, you're
I
welcome.
think it's kind not to want to be helpful and make change in the world
Hmm.
for to bring back unity and love when you have these awakenings. It kind of
Oh, yeah.
happens organically, and what I love about your story as well, really quick, is I had these dreams when I was a kid,
Uh
and
huh.
I remember they never made sense to me when I was a kid. But it was during the time of the Night Stalker. I don't know if you ever heard of the Night Stalker. His name was Richard Ramirez. He was a serial killer.
Oh, my God, no.
He was
Never.
killing a lot of people in L.A.
Oh, wow.
But anyways, I had a dream
Hmm.
where he was there in just it was all concrete, and it was like a sewer, and then
Okay.
he had a gate on top. He's
Hmm.
telling me to come in, and he was telling me to come in. There was like snakes and rats, and it was real
Who was
dirty
telling you to
trash.
come in? The guy or.
Yeah, yeah. Richard Ramirez. He's telling me
Oh,
to
my
go
God.
inside there, and on top is a gate. Like if I walked in, it would close,
Oh,
and there's all
wow.
kinds of crazy dark stuff, right? And then maybe a week or two later, I don't remember. I was so young, but right, not too long after that, I had a dream of being in a room with three
Hmm.
sides of the room was like green, like a plant growing all over. I forget the name of those plants that grow on the walls. But the other side
Ivy?
was like I don't know, but it was all green. And but on one
Yeah.
side was where it was a sky, it was a light, the sun,
Hmm.
the sunlight of the spirit, kind of just shining forth. And there was a character in a white robe,
Okay.
tall, but it wasn't standing. It was kind of floating, and I couldn't see who it was. My mind automatically says Jesus because that's what I was raised with, but I
Yeah.
don't know. But he was talking to me, and I couldn't hear what he was saying. But all of a sudden, I got a vision of because during the time in the '90s, a lot of my friends that I grew up with in the elementary were getting
Hmm.
murdered
Oh,
through
wow.
drive-bys. Some joined this gang, some joined this gang. They became rivals, and I'd have friends that were I grew up with in elementary school, and next they're people go up to their living room window and shoot or shooting them,
Wow.
and they're getting murdered. But I just remember seeing a vision of a group of guys, all these gang members following me to the
Hmm.
light.
Oh,
Years
wow.
later, I'm trying to be helpful to people, and trying to show compassion and trying to raise the vibration. And
I
I
believe that that's what our purpose is on earth, you know? Try to bring as much people as we can to the light, to the
yeah,
true light, to the awakening.
yeah, you're
Definitely,
right.
I believe that 100%.
Yeah, Ernest Holmes once says, "We must find this God in each other and love this God, forgetting all else." And I truly believe that. Those are some
I
beautiful
believe that
words.
too.
So what's your definition of heaven?
Heaven is like, I believe, like what my mom used to say, heaven and hell is right here on earth.
Mm,
Whatever
yeah.
you do, it's gonna be here, and you have to enjoy your life and try to do your best for you and for everybody else around you. And but heaven is like everybody define heaven like a beautiful place of peace. I heard the story of Chico from Brazil. I don't know if you heard the story. I forgot his name. I know he's Chico, but I forgot his last name. He have a movie. It's called. Oh, I even have the movie right here. I forgot the name of my house. It's a real story that he's going to heaven, and he described how people can communicate from heaven through dreams to people, and that we all have a purpose. Heaven is beautiful with gold, and it looks like interplanetary thing, like old crystal, and everybody's dressing white, and these gardens, beautiful gardens. And in a lot of near-death experience, I heard a lot of stories like him. And oh, what is the name of this? Something about the soul.
Mm,
But I believe I don't know, but his story resonates with me. I mean, I think he wrote more than 400 books, and he said that was God telling to what to write in the book, and he donated that to the charity, so the charity could get the money from that. And it's recorded on TV the day that he was dying. There were news reporters from all over the world and the hospital, and they saw a light, a light of energy that came through the window. And he said that it was a spirit. Said like, it's not your time right now. We're gonna give you another time, one more year to live. And so he was dying, but then he recuperated and he lived another year to stay with his mom and to share more stories and to bring more people to the light and awaken more people. And I mean, it was amazing. His story was amazing, and I believe, and it resonates with me. When I read books like Neil Walls, is what my soul resonate with. Like, and he said that. Like, listen to my story, check the Bible, but there is something in the Bible that it's not gonna be like, hmm. But when you listen my story, Neil Walls with like conversation with God, now put this part there and you will see that's going to resonate with your soul. And yeah, it does. you know and that's what happened with this movie too. I forgot, Journey of Soul or something like that is the movie. But I mean, I believe everybody have a different concept of heaven. What is the concept for heaven for you? What do you think it is?
well, it's similar to you, what you said. Hellish thinking creates
Hmm.
hellish thoughts, right?
Yeah.
And we see reality through the screen of our thinking. So
Oh yeah.
if I have crappy thoughts, crappy life, it's we
Yes.
reap what we sow. But if you elevate your consciousness and live
Oh
more in
yeah.
love and harmony with life, it's like when someone like Christmas time and someone's giving the other person the present. Well, the person giving the giver already has the gift, and
Yeah,
we could
definitely.
feel that love, that kindness in our hearts when we're doing those actions. And when we
Oh yeah.
live in that and we live more in harmony with the oneness of life,
Oh yeah.
um, that's heaven. It's being more present in the moment. You talked about trauma, releasing from our traumas,
Yeah.
because if we're still stuck in our traumas, we're still stuck in the past. And we really relearn how to retrain our mind and body to live in the present moment. And if our thoughts are the language of the brain, and if our emotions
Mhm.
are the language of the body, and we learn how to speak more loving and be more kind to ourselves and to others, we find heaven within ourselves. And when you find heaven within yourselves, heaven will shine on those around you. So
That's true.
that's kind of like my experience. um but yeah, I love your story. And my last thing is, this is funny because we're talking about Neil Donald Walsh. And after that experience at Target, I go watch this and I find out he has books. So I,
Hmm.
I ran to the local church because I didn't know any better at the time. I wasn't raised with religion or
Hmm.
spirituality, any of that stuff. We're just that thug life like Tupac. But I go into the gift store of this big church and I go, "Do you have
Hmm.
the Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh?" And they looked, and then they brought out a folder, and it says, "Oh, it's on the no buy list, no sell list, or
What?
no buy list." So you can't sell that. You can't, because it's going against the word of God. So my
Wow.
question is with you is, do you ever have experiences with going to churches and speaking on telling your story, and that might not be sticking to the script, or people come up to you like, hey, you might want to not say that, or
No, that
you
was I was super afraid of that.
mm,
Like so I didn't, like I said, I'm not a kind of person that I'm in a church all day or reading the Bible all day, so I didn't know what God chose me to do this. But like I said, I was running away from this for 5 years until I knew that I couldn't do it anymore, and that's what I decided to do it. And I was invited. I have an experience with Mother Teresa of Calcutta, and I was invited to the church of Mother Teresa here in Atlanta. And when I was in the church of Mother Teresa, a prophet came. The prophets can see the future and all that. So she came to me. I didn't know who she was. So she put her hands on me and she said, Carlos, in 1 month from now, you're going to be on social media. You're going to be on TV. And so, like, me on social media? No, 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 no. Never. Like, I don't, this ends right here. I don't want to tell the story to nobody. And she laughed and she said, well, but God is telling me right now that He have another stuff for you. So it's not what you think. So sometimes I tell people, well, you have your plans, but God have another plans for you. So you're planning your life, but you don't know what's gonna find in front of you. So I said, like, lady, believe me, I'm not gonna be in social media. I don't gonna be nowhere. Okay. I said, well, he's telling me something else. So get ready. We're in May. In June, he's telling me that you're going live everywhere. I said, like, okay, good luck. That's what I said. Guess what? And I'm not looking for publicity or anything like this. On my birthday, that was June, at the end of June, I received a call on my phone of a lady looking for the police department. And a guy from the police department said, ma'am, I think you dialed the wrong number. You need to hang up and dial again. I said, like, no, no, but why you have your number? I said, ma'am, I don't know. Just hang up and dial again. I said, but who are you? I said, like, oh my God, I'm Carlos. I work for this company and do this and this. What else you do? Well, I'm writing a book right now about God. Like, what? You know what? I have a podcast on YouTube. Can I interview you and put it on YouTube? I said, like, mom, I mean, lady, I never done this before. I mean, I don't know. Come on, it's gonna be quick. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I said, like, oh my God, I don't know if I should do this. Like, come on, let's do it. I said, okay, let's do it quick. Okay. Okay. So I open my computer, like I'm doing with you, and doing the podcast with her for the first time. And as soon as we finish, she don't even do an edition on the video. She downloaded immediately after we finished. And guess what? As soon as it came out, it went viral. And as soon as it went viral, people from everywhere started calling me.
That's awesome.
I mean, the first guy who called me was a movie director from France. And I was like, what? Like, oh, we want to interview you from France. I'm like, me? Like, no, 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 no. Like, I'm just a regular person, a regular working 9 to 5. I don't have any interest in just this story. Oh, no, we want your story. And after that, it's been like no going on, like interviews, interviews, interviews. And I just simply do it because I just want people to awake. I just want people to see the truth. That this is the time that humanity has been waiting for a long time. And through people like you and me, and we can put the seed on the hearts of a lot of people. So after we finish with our story and our programs, you just put a seed there, and they just put water and take care of the seed, so a big tree can grow up, an awakening tree inside of them.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. Like in the book of Matthew, is it where it talks
Yep.
about the mustard seed, and
Yeah,
we
the
don't have to
mustard.
die to go to heaven. We have to actually be fully alive, so, and help cultivate and water that seed so it can grow into a bush, so other birds can fly and have safe refuge. And yeah, I
But
love
this is
that.
amazing that you're saying book of Matthew, because last week I knew for a friend that he told me, like, do you know that book of Matthew, um, verses 21 is not in all the Bibles? I was like, what? I said, like, yeah, check the Bible. So I started checking Bibles. I have a big Bible that somebody gave me. It's like this big. And I checked it was there, but then I look in another Bible, it was like a print error. I said, like, what's going on here? You know what that verse said?
What?
Well, he said, I got it right here. You know the mustard seed, right?
Yeah.
It's what continues after the mustard seed. So I say, if you have faith of the grain of a mustard seed, you can move mountains, right?
Hmm.
But 21 that's following that said, but you only can reach that if you do fasting, through fasting. But they eliminate that from the Bibles.
Oh yeah, there was all yeah. You're right. There's all kinds of stuff that was added and subtracted. You
Yeah,
even
I was like,
like look at the
what?
King James version versus
Yeah,
like another. It's totally different. It's
yeah.
like especially like Corinthians, that famous love verse. I forget. You know, but there's some it's changed around. It's different than other Bibles. It's crazy.
But that surprised me. I even called friends in Ireland, in Spain. I said, yeah, Carlos, we don't have. So I took pictures of my Bible and sent it to them. So like, well, now you know that you have to fast for a day and then ask, and then we'll come. But why people don't want people to know that? What is behind that? Like why? Now I
Yeah,
understand what another cultures do a lot of fasting. Now I know. You know?
yeah, you're right. But I think that's the difference from spirituality or religion. Religion
Oh yeah,
tells you what to do. In spirituality, you find your own truth and your
yeah.
own
Because
authenticity.
have you ever see the painting of the fish on the aquarium? And he said, "This is religion," and then the fish in the ocean, this is a spirituality.
Oh yeah, yeah, I have. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
You
that's
see?
funny. It's in a fishbowl, right? It's in the
Yes, it's a
fishbowl.
fish
Yeah.
bowl.
Man, it's an honor and privilege to have you on. It was a good conversation. I think it was Gandhi that once says, "My life is my message," and you have a beautiful message. So I appreciate you coming on and thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting me to your program. Look, before I go, I remember now the name of the movie and the person. It's called Astral City by Chico Javier in Brazil. So check his movie, check his book. It's amazing. Right now, my book is on. I just want to let you know, is on audiobook in English, audiobook in Spanish. Um, the book is in English and Spanish. Like you can read it on your. Oh, there you go. You got it right there. But my audiobook, actually, I have to download it right now. The guy who did the audio in Spanish he narrate like Disney. He blow my mind. Amazing. This guy is. I mean, I've been listening. It's like, whoa, what a voice. But yeah, people don't have time these times to be reading. But if you're working and you put your headphones and you start listening. My last message for people is just open your heart. Try to help others. Um, if you There is a lot of people going through a lot right now. The economy, families, I mean, drama family, and a lot of stuff. If you're going through a lot of stuff, just take a pause in your day, go for a walk, drink a lot of water. When you go for a walk, you clean your system, you oxygen your mind, and just do your best for you, your family, and your friends, and be an example for others. Because this life is going like this. It's just a blink of an eye. Everything is gonna go. And I have books that I read before that it said when people is dying, their biggest regret is don't spend too much time with their family, with their sons, with their friends, just working, working, working. Is all your life is not just working, working, working. Is mankind was made to change energy with another people. It's not to be in isolation just working. I mean, people need your light, and you need to share your light with another people. Because like you said, we all have particles of God inside of us. So I guess when you go to a party or you go into a reunion with people and you change that energy of love between everybody, that's gonna fill you up, as a human. So don't waste your time by yourself. Just go enjoy your family, your friends. Join organizations like I do. That's gonna fill you up. On Saturdays, I help an organization called Food for Life. I think they are in all the United States. It's the biggest organization in the world to feed the homeless. So here in Atlanta, it's on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. We prepare food in a huge kitchen, commercial kitchen, and then we go to downtown and we go to a huge square. There are like 200 homeless there, and then we put tables and we do like a buffet style, and we serve this food to people. We you we don't just serve the food. We talk to them. We ask them questions like how they feeling, because during the week nobody wants to talk to them. People is afraid of them. There are people, they're doctors, engineers that they have a trauma in their life and they just went on the streets. But you're gonna hear a lot of amazing stories from these people, and you're gonna give your life to them, and they're gonna appreciate what you're doing. It's a social labor. It's something beautiful that you're doing for these people. It's just living the blueprint. Just do it when you feel depressed, when you feel like the world is going like pushing you back. Do some service, help some people, help your neighbor, and you will feel your heart filling with love. That's my message.
Thank you. It's a beautiful message, my brother. And I'll end it with this. Gandhi says, sometimes the only way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. How true is that, right? Like you just
That's
said.
perfect.
Take care. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Babu Garcia. And everybody, thank you for watching, and God bless everybody, okay?
God bless. Namastizzle.
Thank you.
Just know we out here. Know we out here working in a major way. Had to speak on it just to make a play. Any given subject, know we make a way. Time to level up on a day-to-day. Know we out here working for the greater good. Expand your mind, broaden your lens the way you should. From the stars to the galaxy to speak on spirituality. Higher understanding for the neighborhood.